Okay, we start with the next chapter, people. That is electrochemistry. Chapter is divided into three parts. The first part is where we study about electrochemical cell. Now there are two types of electrochemical cell that we study. The first type is called as galvanic cell. Now what exactly is a galvanic cell? A galvanic cell converts chemical energy to electrical energy. And the second type of cell is called as an electrolytic cell, which you people have done in 10th standard, which converts electrical energy to chemical energy. A common example will be जब normally हम phone use करें, when it is not connected to the electric plug, so the chemical energy stored in the battery is used to run the phone. It is behaving like a galvanic cell where chemical energy is getting converted into electrical energy to run the phone. On the other hand, phone discharge हो गया, उसको charge करना होता है, so you can plug it. That converts electrical energy to chemical energy, and that is called as electrolytic cell. And the last part of the chapter is where we continue with the electrolytic part, where we study about conductance and so on. Then we have something called as batteries. वो थोड़ा theoretical part है, कुछ part you may have to memorize in that. And we also study conductometric titration. ठीक है? So on a new page, सबने लिखा electrochemistry. Please write down galvanic cell or voltaic cell. VOLTAIC. Galvanic cell or voltaic cell. VOLTAIC. Right now, galvanic cell converts chemical energy to electrical energy. Chemical energy to electrical energy using a spontaneous redox reaction. What do you mean by spontaneous? Taking place on its own. What is delta G for spontaneous process? 0. Excellent, less than 0. What is delta S for spontaneity? Excellent, greater than 0. ठीक है? चलो. Now let's understand थोड़ा सा galvanic cell in detail. So board पे एक छोटा सा setup we have. Let's first understand the setup. What we have over here, people, is this is zinc rod. Okay, zinc rod, which is dipped in zinc sulfate solution. Okay, I repeat, zinc rod which is dipped in zinc sulfate solution. So which ions will be present over here? Zn2 plus ions and SO4 2 minus ions. Okay. Over here we have copper rod which is dipped in copper sulfate solution. So I repeat, I have a copper rod here which is dipped in copper sulfate solution. So which ions will be present here, people? Cu2 plus ions and SO4 2 minus ions. They are connected externally. You have a voltmeter to measure current, and ये क्या हमारे पास, people, एक bulb. Everyone got the basic setup? Any questions in the basic setup? Let's understand what happens. Now, on the left hand side, zinc from the rod comes into the solution in the form of Zn2 plus, leaving behind electrons on the rod. वापस से. So what happened on the left hand side, people? Zn from the zinc rod came into the solution in the form of Zn2 plus, leaving behind what on the rod? Electrons. This process of losing electrons is known as dash. Excellent. Oxidation. क्या बोलते people? So what happened on the left hand side? Oxidation. The electrode on which oxidation takes place is called as, and what is present on the rod? Electrons. As a result of which, what charge will be developed on the electrode? Negative charge. What happened on the LHS side? Yes or no? Very easy. Electrons now they're connected to the external circuit. So here wire mila, they start traveling. How do I know that the electrons are traveling? Excellent. The bulb starts glowing. So these electrons are now traveling through the external circuit. And now where are they present? They are now on the copper rod, where these copper ions present in the solution accept the electrons and copper is deposited on the copper electrode. Did you people get that? So what happened on this side? Cu2 plus ions from the solution, they accepted the 2 electrons and this got deposited as metallic copper. Excuse me. ये oxidation है. The process of gaining electrons is called as reduction. The electrode on which reduction takes place is called as cathode, and the cathode here has what charge? With me? Yes or no? Left oxidation, anode negative. Okay? I repeat, left side of the setup, oxidation is taking place, which is your the charge on the anode? Negative. Right, reduction, cathode positive. यहाँ तक समझा? So this happened. Then थोड़ा time के बाद बत्ती गुल. क्या हुआ people? The bulb, which indirectly means what happened? Electrons stopped. Why do you think this happened? Excellent. See, zinc is coming into the solution in the form of Zn2 plus, which means eventually that electrode is going to corrode. That electron, the electrode ka size will become chota. And what is going to happen in this case? Copper is going to buff up. So that's one reason. But हमने zinc rod replace कर दिया. Still the bulb is not glowing. So what's really happening? Let's understand this. From zinc rod, what is coming into the solution? Zn2 plus, Zn2 plus, Zn2 plus. As a result of which, the solution becomes concentrated with what charge? Positive charge. So left hand side people, what's happening is Zn2 plus, Zn2 plus, Zn2 plus. Everywhere there is a there is a misbalance, because are there sufficient SO4 2 minus, but there is excess of, as a result of which the electrons, instead of moving out through the external circuit, they are attracted towards the positive charge. Capacitor जैसा बन गया है वो. Getting that? And now what's happening on this side? What's happening यहाँ पे? Cu2 plus is deposited on the electrode, which means the solution has excess of which ion? SO4 2 minus. Are you people getting that? Solution has excess of SO4 2 minus, SO4 2 minus, SO4 2 minus. So do you think any external electron will come here? Or I can say that this becomes something like this. Yes or no? As a result of which the flow of electron stops. So we need to maintain that balance. Now in order to maintain that balance, what we do is we introduce something called as a salt bridge. I repeat, we introduce something called as a salt bridge. Salt bridge contains a gel and, as the name suggests, salt. For example, here it is a mixture of agar gel, bio, I think bio mein kiya, yes or no, and mobile salt. The ions should be mobile. And now what happens here is this solution has become highly saturated with what charge? Positive charge automatically. And salt bridge thoda sa aur hai, there's also like a cotton plug here. And the reason for presence of gel is you need a smooth flow. I'll give all that points later. So as the left electrode here becomes saturated with positive charge, automatically what happens? Cl minus ions आएंगे. Getting that? To maintain that electrical neutrality. And similarly on the right, the solution was saturated with negative charge. What comes here is Kp. And thus electrical neutrality is maintained and the bulb starts. This cell is called as Daniell cell. Daniell cell produces about 1.1 volt. Okay, I repeat, it produces around 1.1 volt. Any questions in the setup of Daniell cell? No? One second. Okay, so let's continue, people. Now pay attention. So Daniell cell produces around 1.1 volt. Now I have a question, people. Let's say if we apply, let's say what will happen, tell me, if I apply external voltage. ठीक है, अब तक ये इसका मीनिंग मैंने समझाया नहीं है, but this is written as E cell. E cell stands for cell potential. Do you remember where we learned this before? कौन सा चैप्टर पे किया था थोड़ा सा? Excellent. DNF block element में हमने किया था ये. ठीक है? Now, let's say if I apply external voltage, but that external voltage is less than 1.1 volt. See, Daniell cell converts chemical energy to electrical energy, but externally I am applying electrical energy to Daniell cell. With me? What do you think will happen if I apply something which is less than 1.1 volt? Excellent. No change. What if I apply external voltage, which is equal to 1.1 volt?
No change.
The reaction, excellent, stops. Or you can say that the cell stops functioning. And what if you apply external voltage greater than 1.1 volt?
Faster.
So zinc, which was undergoing, then zinc will start undergoing reduction. And copper, which was undergoing, will start undergoing
Oxidation.
getting that. But this has to be done continuously. So if you want the reverse, it's a non-spontaneous process. It's a non-spontaneous process. What I'm trying to tell you is, हमारा phone काम करता है. Chemical energy is converting into electrical energy. Do you need to tell the battery to do that? A battery convert kar, no, right? Yes or no? But charge करते time, the plug has to be constantly attached. कि attach करके निकाल दिया? No, right? Non-spontaneous. So this reverse process. So when we'll study electrolytic cell, because you want the opposite to happen, so you have to continuously supply energy. And hence electrolytic cells are will be non-spontaneous in nature when we study about them. And galvanic cells are spontaneous in nature. And not only that, what kind of reaction is taking place over here, people? Spontaneous redox reaction, which converts chemical energy to chemical energy to electrical energy. Okay. Now, this entire cell can be represented in a single line. For that, first thing that we do is we write the overall reaction. So this was the reaction, oxidation, which happened at the anode, and this is the reduction which happened at the cathode. So what is the overall reaction, people? We just add the reaction at the anode and at the cathode. Give me the reaction. So Zn solid plus Cu2 plus aqueous. Will I write the plus 2E? No, why? Because ye 2E and this 2E will cancel each other. That gives me what? Cu2 plus aqueous plus, sorry, pardon me, Cu solid plus Zn2 plus Aq. समझा सबको? That's the overall reaction. Now, I repeat, we write something called as the cell representation. Cell representation means showing all this, but in a single line. तो कैसे करते हैं इसको? On the left hand side, what was the electrode? Excellent, zinc. What happened with zinc electrode, people? Converted into Zn2 plus. The zinc came into the solution in the form of Zn2 plus, oxidation हुआ. A single line indicates change in phase. What is the phase here? Then what happened on the right? Copper ions from the solution got deposited on the copper rod. Yes or no? Cu solid. Did you will get that? Again, why just a single line? Change in phase. And both the electrodes were connected by a, so double line represents salt bridge. It not only represents a salt bridge, it also represents that the anode part is connected to the cathode ka part. The left part is also called as oxidation half cell. So what will you call the cathode part as? Reduction half cell. In the cell representation, what is present on the left hand side? Anode. What is present on the RHS? Cathode. Electrons flow from anode to cathode. Conventional current flows from, I repeat, what goes from left to right? Electrons. What goes from right to left? Conventional current. Actually, we can trace the path of the electron. Zinc comes into the solution in the form of Zn2 plus, leaving behind electrons. Where do the electrons go? ऊपर गया, ऊपर गया, ऊपर गया, इधर गया. बल्ब ग्लो हुआ क्या? इधर है, इधर है, इधर है, इधर है. कौन एक्सेप्ट किया? Cu2 प्लस. फिर अंदर सॉल्ट ब्रिज में गया. तो ऐसा पाथ अगर मैं ट्रेस करूँ, that is like a complete circuit. Did you will get that?
Yes.
Anyone who don't understand the functioning of Daniell cell? Any questions? SK? We continue with, please write down functions of salt bridge. Write on the first point in that. Maintains electrical neutrality. Maintains electrical neutrality. Second point, completes the electrical circuit. Completes the electrical circuit. Next point, important. It prevents liquid junction potential drop. It prevents, I'll explain what that means. Liquid junction potential drop. Next slide on. So functions हो गए. Right on. Which salt to use in salt bridge? मतलब the characteristics of salt that is to be used in salt bridge. To be used in salt bridge. Or the characteristic of salt to be used in salt bridge. First point, the salt should be highly ionic. Salt should be highly ionic. Second, the ions present in the salt the ions present in the salt should not form complex. The ions present in the salt should not form complex with the ions present in the solution. With the ions present in the solution. Next point. Both cation and anion of the salt should have comparable ionic mobility. Should have comparable ionic mobility. Note. Preferably use a red pen. Note. If Ag plus Hg2 2 plus Pb2 plus Ag plus Hg2 2 plus Pb2 plus and Tl plus ions are present in the solution. Okay, if these ions are present in the solution, then KCl is not used. In the salt bridge. Now people, in functions we have written a point. Point क्या लिखा है? Last point. It prevents liquid junction potential drop. Now what does that mean, liquid junction potential drop? So pay attention over here. Let's say we have a cell which is something like this. Instead of salt bridge, we just here have a porous partition. Left hand side may we have same zinc sulfate, right hand side may we have copper sulfate solution. Same thing, यहाँ पे I have zinc rod which is dipped in zinc sulfate solution. Over here we have copper rod which is dipped in copper sulfate solution. Initially what will happen, zinc will come into the solution in the form of, and copper from here will accept the electrons and get deposited on the copper rod. Yes or no? But then क्या होने लगता है? There is a chance because of the porous partition that zinc will start getting attracted towards the SO4 minus ions present here, and also copper will start getting attracted towards the SO4 minus ions present here, and hence these ions they start flowing from left to right through the porous partition, and eventually क्या होता है, एक junction जैसे बनता है here, and further no flow of ions is possible from left to right or right to left, and that is as a result of which of course the cell stops functioning, and this junction is called as liquid junction, or the drop because of that is called as liquid junction potential drop. Did you people get that? Excellent. Quickly copy this.